Hey guys, Nerfinator again. I'm bringing you not any reviews this time, but I am bringing you my story and my experience from the WSC Survival Weekend HVZ in Wichita. Well, not Wichita, Augusta, Kansas. It's by Wichita. It was held at the Wheat State Campground there in Augusta. It's the church campground that they have there. It's a really great place for HVZ. Beautiful, beautiful place. They had grassland, they had urban areas, they had wooded areas. We didn't get to go into the wooded areas or the grassland areas too much because it was really wet and it was just absolutely soggy. The whole place was like a marshland pretty much because of all the rain. So the weather wasn't necessarily a major problem. It was just more of a condition that we had to play in, but it added to the experience, which was really cool. But at the same time, it was really annoying. So, yeah. So the storyline was that humans had progressed to the point where they were colonizing other planets, one of which was the moon around, I believe, Jupiter, called Titan. I believe it's Jupiter, it's either Jupiter or Saturn. I'm not that great with my astronomy. Anyway, so humans had colonized Saturn, and we had a base there. The whole planet had been terraformed to look like western Kansas. And the idea was that we had combined human DNA with the DNA of the Titans. Please, no in-game / Infinity War references to Thanos, even though a couple were made at the HVZ, and it was funny. Okay, make references down in the comments. Just comment, please. Anyway, so the idea was that the infected, which were the zombies, were spreading, and in order to stop them, we had to basically survive, leave, and the place would be, I guess, dealt with after we left. Anyway, ended up the plot was similar to a cross between, I believe, Halo 4 was some of the like forerunners from Assassin's Creed stuff mixed in there, and like some plot elements from Doom and some small stuff from Aliens. It was a really, really interesting mix of all kinds of different elements. We dropped in. It was kind of we dropped, dropped from orbit onto Titan, and we were supposed to eradicate the infected. Unfortunately, in the storyline, our escape pods were damaged, and we had no source of oxygen, and the base's oxygen supply was depleted, and the O2 scrubbers were failing. So we had to find a way to fix the O2 scrubbers or build a new generator. And so we had to find the components to build the generator. So that basically meant a scavenger hunt. We had a timer though, to where if we didn't get it done in a certain amount of time, our characters would die from hypoxia and the thing would just end right there. Which was not good, because we wanted to shoot some zombies, and that's how we wanted to die. We did not want to die from not finding the things we were supposed to, which would be terrible. And a bad way to go out. They're just lousy. Anyway, so we eventually did find all the components we needed to find right before, I think it's like a minute and a half before the timer ran out and we were going to die of hypoxia, and we finally got all the components assembled and the generator was running, and we no longer had to worry about suffocating to death. And then the storyline progressed, and we were going to find basically places to sleep for the night, and we were going to make sure that there was no infected around, and I believe we were looking for materials to turn on the main power so that the AI could activate the rest of the systems. So we had to route cables for the AI, but in order But before we could do that, we had to access the AI mainframe, and that was in a security controlled lockdown building. And that was a nightmare to get into because we had to acquire a key card in order to get into it. And the only person who had the key card was an NPC called Cat. And she did not want to be found. In fact, we had to chase her down and stun her in order to get the card. And we finally, well, actually, we couldn't find her. She finally showed up. We stunned her, and actually, I don't know if we stunned her. I wasn't actually there when she showed up, but she showed up. We got the key card, and we got into the building. But there was an interesting complication. The building had audio sensors, at least in the storyline it did, to where if you were too loud, an alarm would go off and the power would go off again. So in order to do it to where the power would stay on long enough to access the AI's mainframe and get the power on for good, you had to not make any noise, which meant no flywheelers, no springers, and nobody brought stringers, which meant socks. And so a team went in socks only, which normally wouldn't be a problem. But at this event, there was an ammo restriction, which meant you couldn't bring your own ammunition. They provided ammo for you, but you could not bring your own ammunition. So they doled out a very small amount of ammo. I believe everybody had between 5 to 10 rounds apiece total that they had at their disposal. And that was not good. I believe there's a total of maybe 10 to 15 socks in the entire human group. And there was not an incredible amount of zombies, but there was enough to make it challenging for those guys to both get the thing online and keep the zombies from making noise to activate the alarm. Once we finally got that dealt with, which I was not part of the team that did that, I was outside guarding the entrances to the building so that the zombies wouldn't bang the doors and activate the alarms. But so after we finally got that done, we had to run cables to the different buildings in order to, I believe, establish power or transfer files. I'm not sure exactly what it was about. I'm assuming it was turning on the different systems controlled by the AI for the complex. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Eventually we got that done. I actually died protecting one of those objectives and was a zombie for the rest of the night. Or infected, which is what they were called in this event, which was interesting. There's a neat element to it. And so, like I said, it was a 24/7 HVZ, which meant if you were not careful, the zombies would come in and tag you out in your sleep. So you had to either sleep in shifts or not sleep at all, which meant very low amounts of sleep, very, very high levels of sleep deprivation and exhaustion were going around. And I got personally about 4 tags that night as a zombie because people either weren't paying attention or they didn't know that the zombies were going to come after them in the middle of the night, or they just didn't care. It ended up a lot of the humans did not stay in squads, or if they did, there wasn't large enough squads to really deal with the zombies. And sometimes they had a large enough squad and they had the necessary firepower to hold us off. And a lot of them did, and they gave us a really good fight. It was awesome, and we had a lot of fun with those guys. Then there was the squads who just, they simply didn't know what they were doing. And it's not that they were bad players, they just didn't know how to repel the zombies with this kind of situation. And I kind of felt a little bad for them, but at the same time, that's how the zombies grow in numbers. And we just wiped them out. I mean, it just happened. By the end of the first night, there was, I believe, 15 humans alive, and the rest were zombies. Keep in mind, there was 70 people who came to this event, and 15 of them were only 15 of them were alive by the next morning. That's a few hours that the majority of them were killed off. So, yeah. But the place that gave us the most fight is probably the most fun to play, to go against as a zombie player, and probably as a human player. I think it would be a lot of fun to have been in there. From what I hear, it was a lot of fun. It was called the Quiet House. And the reason for that was there was a perimeter around the house that you could not make any noise in. If you were a human and you made any noise besides like firing a blaster, you were kicked out of the house and stunned for an hour. If you were a zombie, and you made noise in there, you were simply stunned and you had to walk away like normal. And the stun timer for zombies was 10 minutes, which not a bad stun timer, honestly. It could have been a little bit lower, but that would have made it a little bit too difficult for the humans, in my opinion. So I think they did a really good job picking the stun timer. It got kind of annoying, honestly, to have it that high at some point as a zombie, but that's just personally. It gets kind of boring just sitting there for 10 minutes. But eventually you get so tired that 10 minutes is kind of nice to just kind of rest and not be like charging and worrying about getting shot by people. So yeah. And I think the humans liked it too, because that's 10 minutes. You don't have to worry about zombies just like randomly attacking you and trying to take you out. So that was nice. But the Quiet House was a lot of fun. There was about 7 or 8 people that had holed up in there, and they had a decent amount of ammunition, at least enough to sustain themselves for quite a while. And they had holed up in there. They had, I believe there was 4 doors into the building, and they had picked a room where there was only 3 entrances to that room. And so they had one guy watching each door, and they had a couple of guys in the middle just making sure nothing else got through. Man, that was a lot of fun. Eventually, I personally got a shield off of a zombie side mission where you had to protect the plant, wait 4 hours, and then go back, talk to an NPC, and you got a perk, which was a shield. And in this case, I spoke up first. I grabbed the shield, and it was a nice shield. I mean, it was like a 1.5 foot by, or about a 1.5 foot by 2 foot shield. It was a good shield, and it was a lot of fun to try and block the darts with that shield, and at the same time know that your fellow zombies were going to try and surround them from the other direction or something like that. And it was really interesting to attack that house and keep badgering them and poking at them, and we did go off and attack other places, and we got other tags and everything. But I think one guy sneezed in Quiet House, and he was kicked out because he woke up the mod that was sleeping in that room when he sneezed too loud, and they stunned him and kicked him out, which was interesting. That was also the only reason he survived till morning, was he sneezed and was kicked out. I thought that was pretty funny. Another guy just decided to leave because he was tired of getting swarmed by zombies, so he just left. And the moment he left was the moment they started to die. And it was absolutely amazing. They gave us the best fight we'd had all night. We had an absolute blast. If I get some footage from some of these other guys, I'm still waiting on a little bit of footage that a couple of guys took with their GoPros. I know one guy, I gave him my email. I'm still waiting on some footage from him, and I don't know if I got any connections anywhere else with guys with cameras and stuff, footage they've taken. I know that guy had a lot of great footage and everything. So this video, you guys are obviously, it's been a little bit since the HBZ. There's probably other videos out there by now. It's going to be a little bit lengthy, sorry about that. So after that night, like I said, most of the humans were dead. Most of my squad was still alive. My squad consisted of myself, my dad, my brother Matt, and my brother William, and my nephew Gabe. Now, my nephew Gabe was still alive. He was taken out of play in the middle of the night because he had twisted his leg and it was really hurting him, so he was taken out of play, and he survived the night because of that. My brother William was the first one tagged out. He was a little bit sour about that one, but he was less sour the next day when he got to come back as a human and absolutely wreck some of the zombies. So he was a lot happier then. My brother Matt had his nemesis. Now he knows how to use his nemesis, and he's a good shot with, well, basically anything that fires a rifle. So is my brother William. However, he did not know that the zombie was a zombie. It was, to be fair, it was dark, and he couldn't see the guy all that well. So I feel kind of bad for him. My brother Matt, Matt, Gabe, my dad, and I believe a couple of other humans, at least 3 other humans, were holed up in building number 402. Is on the very edge of campus, and they had only one door in and out of that building. They barricaded it with mattresses, and obviously not like barricading the door itself. You weren't actually allowed to make a barricade to where it would hinder the door from opening, or allow people, or not allow people to slow down when they entered the room. But you could use the mattresses. You couldn't move the beds. You could move the rest of the furniture and you could move the mattresses, but you couldn't move the beds, and that was mainly because there wasn't a whole lot of room to move the beds, and they were kind of heavy to start with, so nobody really wanted to move the beds in the first place. So we moved the mattresses. They moved the mattresses into a really good defensible fort. They basically closed off the front door kind of like this, so when you came in, it was a kill box. They were all just sitting there waiting for the zombies to come in. And they really, really gave us a good fight. At one point, we had taken out, I think it was a few of them. We'd taken out at least 3 of them. And me and another guy had friends inside there, so obviously my squad was in there, and I wanted to go say hi once I had been stunned. So I left my bandana off and said, I'm just coming in, I want to say hi to guys, hello. And another guy was behind me, was like, yeah, I'm just going to say hi to some people. And, well, the back door had been stuck, and so we went through, and I unlocked the screen door, because I don't know if the screen doors were supposed to be locked. I know that the main back doors were, on that one apparently was supposed to be locked and wasn't, but the screen door was, and that wasn't supposed to be locked. It was really confusing. Anyways, on my way out, I unlocked the back screen door, because the main door wasn't locked, and I just wanted to walk out without impeding the rest of the horde from attacking them. But I didn't remember to lock the screen door when I left, because you can't lock it from the outside. And as they walked out the front, I realized my stun timer was about to expire. The rest of the zombies were on fresh stun timers because they had literally just been stunned. I hadn't. So I just very nonchalantly walk around the back of the building, and as soon as I'm out of view of the humans, I put my bandana back on, and I run around the back of the house, through the back door, through the main room, and burst through the front door and smack my dad on the shoulder and turn him to a zombie. That was so much fun. So much fun. Of course, zombies could only get 1 tag, and then they were stunned, which, I mean, that's fine. That was definitely a really good choice, because otherwise you got zombies who would take out like 10 people, and then the humans are kind of toast at that point, which would be just bad. So yeah, I agree with their choice there to have 1 tag per zombie per life. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. The next thing that happened was they kind of wandered around and the zombies picked at them. I believe my brother Matt and the other squad mate of his survived, and they joined up with another squad, and the zombies kept picking at them and picking at them until there was about 8 humans left, I believe. And the moderators kind of figured out the zombies were just going to take them out eventually. It was going to take a while to happen, though. So they just reset the game. That was one of 2 resets that happened. So there's really 3 segments to the game, and the first one, the humans technically won, but so did the zombies because it got reset. So it depends on how you want to look at it. The next one, the humans won by a landslide. Well, no, they didn't. The zombies won by a landslide. The humans were cleaning up the zombies at first, though. Mainly due to the ammo restriction was lifted to a certain degree. There was more ammo handed out, and so the humans had much more ammo to defend themselves against the horde, and that led to some very interesting engagements. I'm going to try and get some footage at the end of this video of some different stuff that happened, including some of the stuff that happened at the house where my squad died, which was so cool. I'm going to have to play music over that because I think a lot of the guys were cussing. There was a lot of foul language coming from at least 15% of the players at this HVZ. The rest of the people just didn't talk much, which was sad because they had a lot to say, really. I wasn't a fan of the foul language. Couldn't be avoided. That's the world we live in, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, but it'll have some cool music played over it, I think. Anyway, so yeah, at that point, the humans had more ammo. They could defend themselves more readily. It progressed and progressed throughout the day, and more humans were tagged. It ended up being about half and half, about halfway through the reset, I believe. And at some point, the humans had to defuse 3 bombs. And in order to defuse those bombs, they had to gather the components. And actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I forgot a couple of events that happened previously. During the middle of the night, I actually got a couple of really great tags, and I'll tell you about 2 of them. They were in my opinion, the funniest. So one of them was I tagged somebody out in his sleep. He was absolutely out of it, and everybody else in that room was as well. They were just tired, which I don't blame them. It was late, and it was wet, and everybody was tired, honestly. But I tagged him out in his sleep, and that was just too much fun. What happened was me and another zombie had run into this place, and they had mattresses set up to where there was a few right by the door, and then there was almost like a maze of mattresses up to the row of bunks. And he was basically standing behind some mattresses. He got a tag and was able to move some mattresses around. He told them he was moving the mattresses out of the buffer zone for the door, and he left. The humans had not seen me enter the building, and they had not seen me while I was in the building because I was hiding behind a mattress. Now I had a face mask on. My face mask was it was a Halloween mask that I had decorated in a kind of a steampunk post-apocalyptic. Steampunk's not quite the right word. It was like a post-apocalyptic type mask, and I had the mesh goggles to go with it. and I was sneaking through this building very quietly, trying not to brush up against the mattresses because they're vinyl coated and they are loud when you brush against them. And so after finally sneaking through this building, I reached up and tagged the guy on the top bunk, and he hardly even reacted, which was almost honestly, that was the funniest part of that, was he just barely reacted. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, you're a zombie now. Sorry, dude." And he was like, "Oh, darn it. Right, man." And he just face planted right into the mattress, and that was it. So I kind of felt bad for him because he died in his sleep, but it was so fun. The other really funny one was I scared the tar out of this poor girl. He was actually in the same room. I came back a little bit later, and I was crawling along the bottom bunks, and I was crawling up towards her feet, and I had my full face mask on, so, and it was dark, so I guess I looked a little bit intimidating, and she was sitting there with her hammer shot. I don't know if she was quite asleep yet or not. She looks down at her feet and she goes, "Crap!" Pulls out her hammer shot and dead center puts a shot right between my eyes. It was absolutely awesome. I I could not have asked for a better tag or for a better stun. That was really great. The look on her face was priceless. Yeah, I took the hit. I went down like, "Oh, I'm dead now." It was great. It was great. It was awesome. Yeah, later the next day, the humans did have to defuse 3 bombs that had been placed by the zombies. The zombies had to gather the components for the bombs, and which took quite a while. After the zombies had gathered the components, we took them to the NPCs. The NPCs made the bombs and then distributed them amongst several zombie squads, and we took them and placed them in strategic locations. Now the bombs were really interesting in that they were actual slightly explosive devices. They were programmed to where if you messed up, there was a large, I think, 1.25 inch diameter crackable firework that would go off and actually explode if you messed up the bomb. And so you had to cut the right wires and type in the right combinations. And it was really interesting. The zombie, I believe the humans tried the hardest one first. I think they tried it twice. They messed up, and the thing actually detonated, and we could hear it a couple of buildings away, with crackling and everything. It was really cool. And then the second bomb, when the humans got to it, they got pretty much wiped out. And the reason for that was the zombies had this perk called a hive. Now a hive is a instant respawn point for the zombies, where they can run in, tap it, and run out, and they are immediately unstunned and can start tagging humans again. And the hive was just inside the building, and the bomb was right outside the front door of that building. And that was really, really bad for the humans, because I believe they tried to defuse it and got absolutely slaughtered. At the end of that engagement and the next engagement, I believe there was a total of 8 humans left, and they did not last till lunch. I think it's about 2 hours that they lasted, which was actually rather impressive. 62 versus 8, and they lasted till almost lunch. So my props to those guys. They were absolutely awesome. They gave up a great fight. I believe I've got some footage of that last stand for the last couple of guys that went down. It's a little bit far away because I was kind of in the middle of the pack of zombies. But yeah, it was absolutely awesome. I went down in the mud. I really wish I had footage of that. I slipped in the mud right as I was about to hit somebody with a sword, and I just barely missed them. That was a lot of fun. The whole ground was muddy. Um, the weather was wet and rainy. Um, the first night it rained really hard, like I said, and then the rest of the time it didn't rain incredibly hard until I believe the evenings is when it really rained rather harshly. Um, except for the first night after it stopped raining, it didn't really rain until the second night, which was great. Um, the second night though, it rained really hard. And that was sad because that kind of negated a lot of the night missions and made it very difficult to accomplish them. And that was kind of sad. Um, but yeah, the humans got wiped out before lunch, and the game reset again. And when the game reset again, the humans had figured out that they had to stick together to survive, and stick together they did. Um, at this point, I was back to being a human, and I stuck with my squad like glue. We stayed together, and we cleared buildings, we finished objectives, we got medics, which was a really nice perk. It allowed us to revive our teammates if they got tagged. But most medics had only 5 revives, which means they could only revive 5 humans, or they could only revive somebody 5 times. And that was interesting. They had to acquire more revives, or more syringes to revive people with. And so that was very interesting. And then you could have them upgraded to a level 2 medic, where they had unlimited revives, which was really, really cool. I was not around still for that as a human. I was around for that as a zombie. On the zombie side, that got really brutal. But before I got turned, I probably got 20 stuns. I'm not kidding, because the zombies aren't really afraid of the humans at that point. They are still. There's enough zombies that the humans. There was enough zombies to humans ratio that it wasn't quite. The humans weren't quite overpowered. The zombies weren't quite overpowered yet. And it was a really great balance, I thought. And there was some issues with Williams blasters and with Gabe's blasters. There's a few issues. I actually need to fix a couple of issues with them. If you want to know what blaster my brother was using, I'll probably show that a little bit later in the video. He used his regulator for part of it, his Nemesis for part of it, and we had a blast, honestly. I finally went down fighting. I was shooting at a shield. I turned around to shoot at somebody else, and the guy came up from behind me and just smacked me on the shoulder. And I was not going to complain, because that was a really good way to go down. Guns blazing. It was awesome. And so then I played the best zombie I could. At that point, I was tired. I was soaked. I believe I took a nap that afternoon, and I think I missed one engagement with the humans, which I was fine with. I didn't get any footage of it, unfortunately. That would have been cool. But I did get some footage of attacking the humans. I think I got some at night. I don't know. I did get some night footage. It's really dark though, and it's a little bit blurry because the camera doesn't like to focus at night, which is unfortunate. But yeah. And then after that, we didn't reset after that, I believe. Yes, we did reset after that. We reset one more time, and at that point I was exhausted, and my feet were... Actually, I had changed shoes at that point, and so my feet were dry. But up until previously, my feet were soaked, my shoes were soaked, my socks were soaked. Um, I was honestly a little bit worried I was going to get trench foot. Um, and there was puddles anywhere from this deep up to about that deep. Um, yeah, even waterproof boots weren't doing people good because it would just come in over the laces on their shoes, and it was, the water could be brutal, honestly. Um, but yeah, and eventually after the reset, I believe it was that night. Yeah, it was that night. At about 3 a.m. and no 1 a.m. Sorry, it was about 1 a.m. I took myself out of play because I was tired. I told the zombies exactly where I was going and where I was going to spend the night, and I told them, if you show up to my door, I will give you a stand-up fight, and I will go down shooting and give you a good fight. No one showed up. Nobody showed up to our front door, so I slept most of the night, but it wasn't a good solid sleep. I needed a good solid sleep. I didn't get it. I was really tired the next morning, but not as tired as I could have been. I'm still tired. I'm rambling. Anyway, but the next morning I got up and apparently there was only 6 humans left. I met with the rest of the humans at human base camp, and we got briefed on we had to escort a human NPC to the dining hall, and on the way there we lost 2 of the humans in a zombie encounter. I came this close to getting tagged. I got him right I think it was like 1 second or half a second before he tagged me. I got him in the stomach with my hammer shot. I was actually determined to die that day because I was tired and I was just ready for it to be over, honestly. Or for my part in it to be over. And I was only using my hammer shot. And that was on purpose because I wanted to die. But it was my 8-round hammer shot. My other goal for that day was to earn its name, and its name ended up being Z Shot. If you guys are wondering what hammer shot I'm talking about, if you guys have seen my weathering video tutorial, or tutorials, it's that hammer shot that I showed you guys how to weather a blaster on. Since then I've come up with a few more techniques I should probably show you guys on another video. But yeah, it earned its name Z Shot that day because I got 8 tags with that hammer shot that day. I tagged, or not tags, stuns, sorry. I stunned 2 zombies on the way to the dining hall, and then I stunned 6 zombies from the dining hall to our objective. Once we got to the dining hall, we learned that one of the NPCs, first we learned that there was a safe zone on the patio at the front of the dining hall, so we made our way there. Unfortunately, on our way through the dining hall, we lost yet another member of our team to a hidden zombie that was inside, and he took one of our team out, and so we were down to 3 humans. It was myself and 2 other people, and man, we were pumped up on adrenaline and caffeine, and we were, I guess, ready for the zombie horde, kind of. We were afraid of the zombies healthily, I'll put it that way. And now the zombie horde was assembled right off of the patio, so they were about 5 feet from us, and they were all there. We did learn, however, that one of the NPCs had created the zombies in the first place, that she had started the virus and created the Titans and everything. And she gave this whole speech, I am your god type thing to the zombies and the humans, like, I created you, and And there was this other NPC that was the base commander for the facility, and he walks up to her just very ticked off and shoots her with his Hades and goes, "Demoted." It was great. Um, but then another NPC came up and um, basically had also been taken over by this hive mind um, that was controlling the previous NPC. It was a very complicated thing, and there's too much to go into detail on. Um, but she grabbed a smoke grenade and lit it. An actual smoke grenade. It was one of those big, like 6-inch by 1-inch smoke bomb firework things. Lit it and then like dropped it at our feet, and very um, theatrically played out the scene. It's so cool. A third NPC, Cat from Mission 1, showed up and said, "I have a key card to get you into an escape pod to leave Titan. You guys need to run now." She hands us the key card, and the base commander says, "We're going to try and hold off the horde. You guys get out of here." And they did, and we did. We ran through the dining hall and out the back door, and we were at a dead run. And all we had to do was get to the end of the driveway to the campus. This was about a 3-block run, which wasn't actually that far, but it was a long enough distance that, as tired as we were and as terrified as we were, we did not stop. And by the time we got there, we were absolutely out of breath and out of energy. We lost another one of the humans to a shield zombie on our way there. I believe I stunned 2 more zombies on the way there. And by the time it was all said and done, I had 3 rounds in my hammer shot. And yeah, the guy that was with me and the other player, he sacrificed himself to the shield zombie to save us, and we ended up being the only 2 humans to actually survive, and that was absolutely amazing. It was a really fun event. We did so much fun stuff, had such a great time, and there was so much water everywhere. I definitely recommend going next year if you guys can make it out. If you guys did make it out and I saw you on the battlefield, I had a great time with you guys. It was so much fun fighting alongside you guys and against you guys. It was a lot of fun. I did meet some auxiliary there, and I actually went down with me and the last player, I believe, were auxiliary members. That was really cool. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I may be mistaken that he was an auxiliary member, but I do remember that there was at least 3 or 4 auxiliary there, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm just going to kind of roll the footage that I got from the event, and that's going to make this like almost an hour-long video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys watched it to the end. If you did watch it to the end, leave a comment below saying I watched this. Tell me what you guys thought. If you guys are going next year, if you guys were there this year and you had a lot of fun. If you guys were there previous years and had a lot of fun, tell me about that in the comments. Always loving hearing what you guys have to say. I'm still tired. We just got back yesterday. I got a good amount of sleep last night, like the best sleep I've had in 3 days. So much fun. I'll see you guys later. Much nerf, mod on. Bye.